Good afternoon and welcome. I am Maritza da Silva, and a warm welcome to each one of you to CLICO Credit Union's Business Hub Entrepreneurship Series. Our webinar today is entitled Mastering the Pitch, Own the Room, Seal the Deal. We have a lot of you online, I believe over 240 persons registered for this exciting session. So welcome again to all of you. This initiative is part of our thrust towards continuous youth and member entrepreneurship and development through our recently launched Business Hub. The CCU Business Hub is a platform dedicated to empowering and supporting small and micro entrepreneurs, not just within the CCU membership, but across the wider public of Trinidad and Tobago. It is more than a website. It is a community of over, I believe, 100 businesses who have registered since our launch in February, a resource center and a platform to connect CCU entrepreneurs with the public in need of their services. Based on feedback, one of the most critical skills for entrepreneurial success is the ability to pitch your business effectively, whether to investors, other businesses, and customers alike. So whether you're seeking investment, applying for grants, expanding your business, or simply acquiring new customers, your pitch can make or break that opportunity. So when done right, a great pitch can open doors to funding, new partnerships, mentorship, and increased growth on a local, regional, and even global scale. And that's exactly why we are here tonight. So now to help us master this vital skill, we are honored to welcome an exceptional guest, someone who has turned his own pitch into a passport for global success, Mr. Dareem Jeffrey. Just to share with you a little bit about Dareem, he's a 28-year-old entrepreneur from the rural village of Maruga in South Trinidad, who embodies the true spirit of innovation and resilience. After losing everything during the COVID-19 pandemic, he took a leap of faith and launched EcoWash, the Caribbean's first water conservation car wash, which uses only 2 liters of water per vehicle. EcoWash is a social and an environmental movement empowering youth from vulnerable areas to run their own operations while promoting sustainable practices. But he didn't stop there. He has successfully made 21 global business pitches, and Dareem has won all 21. He has received over 11 million US dollars in investment offers, and his work has earned him numerous prestigious awards, including the Global Sustainable Entrepreneur of the Year 2024, the top innovation in the world at the World Congress in Switzerland. He's a TEDx speaker. He was named to both 30 under 30 in Washington, D.C. and 40 under 40 in Trinidad. He's the Entrepreneur of the Year 2024 in Trinidad and Tobago. His business has been recognized by the UNDP, USAID, EMA, and many more private and public sector organizations across the world. And tonight, he's here to share his insights with us. Before we get started, just a bit of housekeeping rules. Please keep your mic on mute. Post your questions in the chat during the presentation, and Dareem will answer them at the end of his presentation. So without any further ado, please join me in welcoming Mr. Dareem Jeffrey.
Oh, good afternoon, everyone. Martha, thank you for such a warm introduction. I must say I'm most excited to do this training today because I've done entrepreneurial and pitch training all over the world, from Asia to Ghana to you name it, I've been there. And this is actually the first time I'm actually doing entrepreneurial and pitch training in Trinidad. So thank you to CLICO Credit Union for the opportunity to empower the entrepreneurs within Trinidad as we raise the standard of how we pitch and how we deliver information concerning our business. And I must say today, you guys are in for a real treat. I am actually going to show you the pitch I've used in all 21 of these competitions that I have been successful in. So you'll get information on how to construct a pitch, but you'll also see how to take that information and apply it onto the slide itself to, to be most effective when it comes to putting forward your presentation. And so the first thing we're going to talk about is confidence. Confidence is everything when it comes to pitching. You need to let persons fully understand that you know what you're talking about. You know what you're talking about. You know your business actively. You're the one in it every day. Hopefully, you're eating, breathing, sleeping this thing. And you need to bring forward that confidence. So persons will know that you're not just talking about a concept, but you're talking about a real business that you are implementing different things and growing on a daily basis. So the first thing you're going to do when it comes to the pitch presentation and actually constructing the pitch, first thing you're going to do when it comes to constructing the pitch is you want to, for persons to see that it actually is a real business. You want persons to know what you're going to deliver to them. You don't want to reach the end of the pitch, which I've seen many times in these competitions, that persons reach the end of the pitch and you're still asking your question, what are they talking about? So the first slide on my pitch is usually EcoWash, showing a machine, because when you tell persons that you're washing cars with 2 liters of water, they're thinking it's a concept that you're bringing across, some type of fantasy that you're now trying to bring to fruition. But when you have a real MVP, maybe a minimal viable product that you can show, or a real machine that you actually have on the market, it takes away that notion that it's a concept that persons can actually see, wow, this is actually real, and it's something that has been implemented around the world. In the world of pitching, the most important part is your story. Your story is what sets you apart from the competition. One of the holy books said that there's nothing new under the sun. So more than likely, what you're pitching, the ideal product or service you have, it's something that may have already been done or may be on the market right now. Your story is what's going to actively set you apart from the competition. There are people who fry chicken, persons who have food businesses, persons who have skincare products. And if you're one of those who are bringing these products to market, what differentiates you from them? The reason why storytelling is so important is that judges want to see that you are directly attached to your business, that this is something that is very near and dear to you. It's something that is not just a money-making venture, but it's something that you're passionate about. It's something that you have stick-to-itiveness when it comes to that. For me, I grew up in Moruga, so this is my story. I grew up in Moruga. Very early on, we realized that we weren't the richest persons or richest family on the block. Struggled for water. We used to go to sandpipes. We have persons in the village who used to go straight to rivers to get water. At the age of 17, I left home to pursue tertiary education. And at 17 was the first time I saw a capital city, Port of Spain. But 17 also was the first time I had a hot and cold shower. So I was so fascinated by this constant water supply that I used to bathe 4 times a night, just out of fascination. And quickly after that, it turned to frustration because I couldn't understand why persons from Moruga struggle for this basic supply when persons in the urban areas pretty much had an unlimited supply of clean, drinkable water. So my frustration pushed me to develop EcoWash, which in doing my research, we have over 1 million cars on the nation's roads. Average car wash uses 180 liters of water to wash a car, so that's hundreds of millions of liters of water wasted every month or every week, however you choose to look at it. So in telling that story, it shows that I'm not just doing this business for money, doing this business out of passion. A lot of times what you see with entrepreneurs is sometimes when you do get funding or you do get grant funding or you do win a prize, sometimes because we're so young and zealous, and sometimes it's the first time we're seeing that amount of money in our bank accounts, we get so excited that we use it for stuff that doesn't even end business. But when you can tell your story and you can show your passion, persons know that this person seems as though they're going to be responsible enough to spend the money wisely. So that's one of the reasons why it's important to tell your story. Also, it's important to how do you articulate in telling this story. Remember, I was talking to an entrepreneur recently and I asked, I said, what's your story? And she said to me, well, my brother died, somebody shoot him, and I just finishing the work that he started. I would have phrased that differently in a pitch competition. I may have said something like, well, I had a brother who I loved dearly, and he started this business to empower youths. And unfortunately, I lost him to gun violence. And as a way of, keeping his memory alive, I decided to finish the book that he started so that other families may not be trauma that I went through. Saying the same thing, but it's how you articulate and how you bring across that story is what will inspire persons to your project, your business, your idea. So first thing, judges, one of the things on your rubric when it comes to pitching is presentation. As I said, confidence is key. Presentation, one of the things you look for is a clear and engaging presentation style. How do you flow? Sometimes we try to copy other person's style of presenting. I encourage you, find your flow, bring it across that it seems as natural as possible and not that you're trying to copy somebody else's style. Your ability to communicate complex ideas effectively. Sometimes you have such an innovative idea and you need to know how to break it down well so that even the smallest man on the street can understand. And your ability to respond thoughtfully and confidently to questions. Don't seem flustered. At the end of the day, as I said, you know your business. So let's get into the presentation. So the first slide is me showing persons my product. If you have a product and you have really good packaging, I encourage you, let that be your first slide so persons know exactly what you're coming to explain to them and inform them of who you are. So there's two ways I enter into a pitch competition, whether it be if it's a short pitch where it's a 2-minute pitch time or maybe a 10 or 20-minute pitch time. For me, I will start in a shorter pitch time. Is 2 liters of water enough to wash a vehicle? Hi, I'm Dareem Jeffrey, the owner of EcoWash. That's 5 seconds. Versus if it's a longer pitch time, I may try to hit some really hard facts that would stir persons. So in a longer pitch time, I may say something like 1.4 billion. That's the amount of cars on the roads of the world today. And if each car is washed with the traditional car wash system of 180 liters, that equates to over 6 trillion liters of clean, drinkable water tarnished with harmful car wash chemicals sent into our waterways, destroying our biodiversity. But what does 6 trillion liters of water look like? Well, 6 trillion liters of water is enough water to give every human being on planet Earth 2 liters of water every single day for every day of the year. Pretty tragic. So these figures is stuff that will stay with persons. I want to inspire you with these figures to the point where every time you go to the next car wash, you must be mindful now of the amount of water that's being wasted. If you own a skincare brand, next time somebody is using Neutrogena, you must be the one on their mind. The next time they're using baby oil that may clog their pores, they may think about your new cream and body butter. That's what you're trying to get at when it comes to how you introduce yourself. In seeing hundreds, if not thousands of pitches, the pitch intro that stayed with me the most is actually somebody from Trinidad. She walked up to the stage, she grabbed the mic, and she looked at the audience and she said, "Have you pooped today?" And that for me was one of the funniest things I've heard, but it's something that's so relatable because we all go to the bathroom, and over 4 years now in business, that's the only pitch intro that I can remember from an entrepreneur. So you really want to grab persons, whether it be hard facts and figures, whether it be a funny story, whether it be a joke, however you choose to introduce it, you can introduce it. Now you're going to introduce the problem. The problem is where you're telling persons why is your business important and why is your business necessary to be executed now. Whether you need to bring it across as though life on earth depends on this. So my problem side looks like this. You're keeping it simple. Minimum for maximum impact. The least amount of words you can use on a slide, the better for you. Because you're the story, you're selling yourself. That's what person's buying into. Not necessarily a business, they're buying into you, your ingenuity, your innovation, they're buying into you, how you present yourself. So showing a picture like this, which is a very real picture of Trinidad and Tobago, the persons are struggling for water. When you keep your slides to the minimal like this, you're not distracting persons who are then going to take time to read the slide and not listen to what you say. Persons with ADHD, persons who don't know how to multitask. Me, for one, if I see something on a screen with writing, I may focus on reading this before you change the slide rather than listening to the story that you are telling. So keep it to the minimum. If you can just show a picture and speak to persons of your story of what the problem is, that would be for the best. If you need to put in words, like this on the slide, keep it to the minimum. Keep it visual. You do not want to distract persons with your slides because that's defeating the purpose of what you're actually looking to bring across. So the problem we're looking at when it comes to EcoWash, Trinidad's water supply, we're at a water deficit right now, meaning that we do not have enough drinkable water or potable water for the population. Talking also hard facts, 180 liters on average is what we use to wash a car. Washing vehicles with a hose and pressure washer is a findable offense in Trinidad during periods of water restriction. It can be charged for something like that. So strong facts, strong figures, bullet points, keeping it simple. If they do have to read, it's going to take them very minimal time when they can come back to focus on you. That's where you want the focus to be. Because you already started the show. The problem here also speaks of the market potential. That's one of the things, one of the rubrics that they look for when it comes to pitching, demonstrating an understanding of the target market and where the problem lies, and evidence that the market has a demand for your product. The fact that pressure washer and hose cannot be used during periods of water restriction shows that there's a demand, there's a reason for us to act now and implement your product or service. So that deals with that rubric. So we covered presentation, which is one of the things to look for, covering market potential. After you tell your story, after you bring across the problem, then you're going to bring the solution. That's exactly what comes after the problem. The solution is you. What are you bringing to the table? So we're using 2 liters of water to wash a car, autonomous and portable, meaning that we can go anywhere, bringing forward convenience. As you can see, slide has a picture showing my product in action, showing that this is not a concept. This is a real business. It's a viable business. It's a business that's actually been implemented. No infrastructure or drainage needed. We're hitting them with benefits and solutions, biodegradable and eco-friendly. Later on, we're going to talk about the triple bottom line, which is the 3 Ps: people, planet, and profit, and we'll tie back in everything to that. So, show them the solution. You don't want to hit it home again, showing them that the product works. Going to demonstrate. It's showing them possibly before and afters. You can show them before and afters. You can maybe show them a happy family using your skincare line, or family around the table eating your whatever meals that you're preparing. If you have, say, a food business, you want to show them that. You want to show them the results of the solution that you're putting forward. After, you want to talk about how it works. This is a tricky slide because some of us may have proprietary solutions. We may have things that require IP protection, so you may not want to get into this. The reason why I've showed this slide is because persons think that 2 liters of water is going to scratch your car. So therefore, you need to take that extra measure to prove to persons that it's safe. So I would have this slide, but as you'll see here, that I didn't get into the nitty-gritty of my solution. So protect your IP. Remember, we're not just looking from a local standpoint, we're looking at a global platform. So you don't want persons from other countries stealing your idea. So you want to go to the minimal. In some of these pitch competitions, from all that I've been a part of, usually have to put forward a project proposal to evaluation committee, where they'll narrow down the, say, final 5 that will actually get to physically present their business to judges. So the judges may already have a really good idea of your business and would have already given a lot of thumbs up to some of the slides that you already have. Now it's for them to see your presentation style. Because as I said before, you can have a really good story, but if you don't know how to bring it across, if you don't know how to show persons and convince them and inspire them of what you have is investable, I think that's what pitch competitions are for. That's where the pitch setup is for. They already saw your proposal, they already sold on the idea, but really and truly, they want to see if you're sold on the idea. If you know how to articulate yourself well, that you can follow through with this project idea or business. So you're showing them how it works, you're showing them the solution, and now you're going to get into the team. Team is one of the things on the rubric where persons want to see that the expertise of all members of the team meshes well. If you're into fintech, they would want to see if you have somebody with IT experience or persons who understand the world of digital transformation. For business like mine, it's important to show, because we're dealing with social impact, to show persons who have social impact experience, persons who have legal experience, because you are dealing with members of the public, persons who are versed in business development, seeing how the team meshes well, it's super important. All the pointers in the rubric actually have different marking schemes, and your team carries a lot of weight when it comes to the amount of points that they award to you. So here, the team, the Eco Army, after we're talking about all the solutions, we want to show persons that we have a well-oiled machine to execute this project or take it to the next level. So me, Dareem Jeffrey, who's versed and have my experience in community involvement, BJ, who is very versed when it comes to labor relations. So as we bring on employees from all over the world, we need to make sure that we have that base covered when it comes to making sure that we're abiding by different regulations and laws based on the jurisdictions. Sherry Pierre Williams, she's versed in business development, but she also helps us when it comes to our finances. So she is somewhat of the CFO. So most companies have CEO, CFO, which is Chief Financial Officer, and CEO, which is Chief Operations Officer. So you can see here, VJ is in operations, Sherian is in finance. Now you have Jalon, who is our legal counsel. So that as we expand and we go further into our expansion plan, whether it be locally, regionally, or internationally, showing them that we are taking a lot of measures to avoid different hiccups that most businesses may go through. So your team, one of the most important slides in presenting to judges. Usually, these judging competitions for pitches will actually give you the rubric and what they're looking for. So for my business, because I take part in a lot of social impact and ecological competitions, there's a social impact part of the rubric and market scheme. You may be part of a competition, say if you're into selling food and drinks or products, they may not have a rubric when it comes to social impact. Of course, you can add it, but based on the time frame, you'll know if you want to add a slide and speak about it. After the team, we're now into your business model, sustainability and scalability. Sustainability is incredibly important to these competitions because judges want to know if you're a grant business or if you're a real business. Is it that you're a business that constantly will be going to ask for persons for money to meet your overheads and to continue operations? Or is this cash injection going to put you on a trajectory to sustainability? That you're not going to have to constantly be asking for money, but your business itself can sustain itself, it's going to generate income. Whether it be your social business, social enterprise, for-profit business, your first priority as a business owner is to be profitable. So sustainability, scalability. How big is this idea? Is this in a small community type operation? Is this a operation that could be localized and spread throughout the nation? Is this a business that has potential to go regional or even international? Companies like to see scalability. Some persons are, the intentions are not to scale. The intentions are to remain small. Some persons are afraid to scale because sometimes scaling means that your quality assurance drops. Sometimes scaling means more stress, and persons may not want to actually have more branches. Currently, we have successfully launched and signed agreements on 27 branches of EcoWash in 13 countries around the world. All of this would have happened in under a 12-month period, constantly scaling. Some persons don't want to go that big, but presenting a scalable business is important because judges want to see maximum impact. Scaling means for them, for you it means stress. Scaling for them means we're employing more youths or persons from marginalized communities. Scaling means more you assisting when it comes to economic growth, and your business itself is helping the economy. These are things that judges look for. Judges don't want to give, or these organizers don't want to give money to a business if that money doesn't equal growth. They're not giving you a prize or a grant for you to go on a vacation. They actually want to stimulate the economy. Just so your scalability is important. Whatever scalability means to you, it might mean that you have one branch and stick at one branch, but you might be able to digitalize your business where the business functions better. So you have now better software in your business to book more clients and so forth. So you still have one branch, but you're scaling to the point where you're increasing revenues and increasing the amount of employees you want to have. So what scalability means to you, you alone know, but operate within that realm. In the rubric, when it comes to innovation, scalability, and sustainability, they have here a novel business idea or product addressing different needs and challenges. Creativity in leveraging different resources sustainably. Potential for a disruptive impact. Your idea is good. The story is good. You should want the world to know. So, for me, when it comes to scalability, it goes straight back to your business model. The business model is super, super, super important. How do you plan to grow? What does the model itself look like? For EcoWash, it has many different business models attached to it. So we have large scale franchise, we have micro franchise, we have self-run operations, we have corporate maintenance. We also have retail. We operate at different modes. All have been very much successful. For you, when it comes to a business model, it also is dependent on your market. So in Trinidad, I run all my operations, but in different territories around the world, say for example, Ghana or Mali or Nigeria or Sierra Leone, we have executing partners because you have to be realistic with your pitch. Usually what you find in pitching, judges aren't persons that they just take off the streets. These are industry experts who usually have a high net worth or a really expansive network, which means they either have a lot of money or they know a lot of people, but they also know the industries that you're pitching in. Telling a judge that I'm going to open 100 branches throughout the world and I'm going to run it myself, they may not say it to you, but automatically they're going to dismiss your idea because it's unrealistic. So pitching a business model that works is incredibly important. Before I continue, I'm just going to plug this in here. One of the first mindsets you must have when it comes to pitching is never pitch to win. Never. Because pitching to win means that you are competing with the person next to you. So then what is your intention of pitching? You're pitching to bring awareness to your business. Because say if it's a 5,000 US price for first place, which is very small in the world of pitching, there are people sitting in that audience, there are judges on that deliberation panel, can open doors for you, connect you with persons, and let's say with an expansive network that would bring so much value to your business, way more than that 5,000 US. You may be able to deliver a pitch that you may not win that pitch competition, but persons are so inspired by your idea that they connect with you immediately after. They call their friends or persons who they know that can add value to your business, bring opportunities your way. I think when you pitch to win, one, you can become very disingenuous in the sense of, I remember I was pitching in a country in the Caribbean, I wouldn't say, and I pitched, and while we were doing pitch training before the organizers, everybody pitched, and we knew exactly what everybody was going to say pretty much. And I remember I said to them how much impact I've had on the foster care system, because we had 53 youths coming off the streets giving micro scholarships and stuff to them. The guy that pitched after me, in order to counteract what I said, he said that he helps persons with disabilities, which wasn't true. It was his way of, how do I one up on Dareem's presentation? And that can get you into some trouble, because you may have persons who want to be part of your business after, and then they realize that, wait, no, you really don't help persons with disabilities. So, as I said, you're not competing with the person next to you. Your story is your own. Business is your own. Sometimes I've pitched with persons who have food businesses, and I have a car wash. I can never compete with pizza, burgers, and these things. But as I say, stay true to your story, because the prize, the financial prize, shouldn't be your priority. It's supposed to be, in this audience might hear my story to take my business to the next level. I pitched 2 years ago in Barbados, and the organizers of that competition, after I pitched, won the competition, left, never spoke to anyone from the organization after that. That was 2 years ago. But a week and a half ago, I got a call from a strange overseas number. Person reminded me of who they were, said that for 2 years, EcoWash has been on their mind. And now that they're no longer with that company, there's no conflict of interest, and they want to do business back in their home country. And that just goes to show that if you bring across your story well enough, stay in the hearts of persons, and persons will keep you in mind for different opportunities that will pop up in the future. So, of course, we all want to win, but I think when you also pitch to bring awareness, it saves you the heartache of, if you don't place, your intention was never to win in the first place. It was to impress persons, but also to inspire persons by your story. So that's plugging that in. So back to the business model. My business model here, leasing and franchising, home and office visits, stationary locations. We want persons to see that this is not just a business that has started, but a business with a plan of growth. You want them to see that this person has given a lot of thought in how to execute this entire project. Some of you may have projects, some of you may have businesses. You want to show that. Right, so we're getting to the triple bottom line, the 3 P's of pitching: people, planet, and profit. If you can touch these 3 P's, I'm telling you, you're going to have the upper hand on pitching and bringing forward your business. Because most companies, persons tend to think that a judge or organizing committee want to see a profitable business, which is great. But as I always tell persons, if you can focus on people and the planet, profitability in most cases always follows. You want to show impact. You don't want to just show that you're a traditional business like what we've had in the past that are bound to obsolete systems. You want to show persons that you are working not just for profitability, but hand in hand with persons, showing them that you care about persons. These are things that sets you apart, because traditional business is just about dollars and cents. But how do I say stimulate the economy? How do I look for persons from marginalized communities? But there are certain keywords when it comes to business, and one of the strongest words when it comes to pitching is impact. How do I impact people? How do I impact the planet? Planet from natural capital. How do I work hand in hand where I'm not going to be wasteful of our resources, but showing sustainability? How do I impact persons by stimulate the economy with some of the other keywords? Marginalized youths, women, children. How do I show, and men, because I need to say and men, but how do I show that I'm impacting these vulnerable, next keyword when it comes to pitching? How do I show that I'm focusing on things that larger companies aren't focusing on? Or how do I take care of these gaps within our societies? Because those are our roles as small businesses. We are the ones to fill in gaps when it comes to how do we impact our communities. So people, planet, and profit. And let me show you how we touch on all. We care. It could have been we are, but it turned out to be we care. We care because we are convenient. So we care about your time when it comes to EcoWash. We're affordable. So here you see, we're talking about profitability, because when you're affordable, it means that you're going to have large volumes of clientele. So you want to show persons that you're touching on that P of profitability, but also the P of the planet. You reduce your carbon footprint. When you play on words and these type of abbreviations like care, it's easier for persons to follow. As you would have seen before, stuck to very few words. We have pictures in our slides. So we care, affordable, profitability, reduce your carbon footprint, talking about the planet, and then we have our employment and entrepreneurial opportunities for youth, talking about people, those 3 Ps. Very few businesses that I've encountered have touched on 3 Ps. Usually, it's either just people and profit, planet and profit, always profit. So we're showing again a real demonstration of the business in action. So persons seeing that our youth employment and entrepreneurial initiatives, bullet points, 17 to 25-year-old foster care collaborations. We're looking at vulnerable, marginalized persons. Persons usually say, if we're going back to the team slide, persons usually say, well, Dareem, I'm not starting off, I don't have a team. That's okay. You still have to have a team slide, because what you're showing judges is either you have a team, or when I build this business, this is the team or the org structure I'm planning to start executing. You can have your friends and family's pictures there. Let it be real pictures, possibly person that you do plan to bring on your team or employ when funding and stuff starts coming in. But you want to have this slide because it's part of the rubric. So have your team, whether or not you have a team now or maybe in the future, start building it out. Building or showing them that I know what org structure is necessary for my business. I know I need a financial officer or operations manager. Persons want to see that you understand what is necessary to actually execute this thing. Sometimes if you're pitching for a project, because you're pitching for a project is not something that you have already done. So you want to show that, okay, I know what is needed to have a successful project be executed. Also, right, so we have our foster care collaborations. You want to find a segment of society that you can impact. This is what I see a lot in businesses, that persons aren't self-aware or aware of their business enough to see where they're actually having an impact. Sometimes you get resumes, you hire persons who meet the criteria that you're looking for. But then when you really look into your business, you realize, wait, no, I have only females working for me, which is coincidental. But it's something that you could add to your pitch. Hey, I'm starting a business that's impacting women. young female entrepreneurs who get a hands-on, in-depth training, on-the-job training within my business. It's something that you would not have intentionally done, but it's something that you can now integrate more purposefully into your business. For me, I've hired a lot of youth from marginalized communities. But if you have somebody from Maraval, somebody from Chaguanas, and somebody from San Fernando, and somebody from, say, Town, you can say I'm fostering a culture of young men who would be positive peer influence to each other. So the person from Maraval telling the person from San Fernando about, saving 20% of his salary. And the person from San Fernando telling the guy from Chaguanas, hey, yes, talk too much on work. When it's time for work, we work again. You can talk after. These are things that help improve and empower persons and help them evolve as individuals. So it wasn't, say, intentional to have all these different cultures mixing on your business. But if you're aware enough of what's happening in your business, no, put that in your pitch and you can be intentional in executing this later. When I started to hire a person from foster homes, I hired a guy, found out that he was from a foster home afterwards because he was kicked out of the home. And when we were employing more persons, he said he knows persons and he brought along his friends. He didn't know that all of them came out of the foster care system. So initially, it wasn't something that was intentional. But when I actually analyzed my business, I realized that this is a segment of society that really needed us to put attention on that. Then we developed a whole initiative behind that, hiring persons and doing foster care collaborations. Right now, in preliminary discussions with Children's Authority to expand on this program. So you may say that you don't have any social impacts in your business. I implore you, look deep within your business to see where are these touch points that you actually have with society. And opportunities to start their own operations, their own business. All of this speaks of scalability, micro franchising, empowering persons, not just giving them a fish, not just teaching them how to fish, but giving them a fishing rod and teaching them how to build a fishing pond for themselves, giving them the resources so that they can scale. And as they scale, your business automatically scales. So looking at different business models that you could actually employ within your organization to show scalability. Judges love social impacts because it shows that it's not just about dollars and cents. It's how do we stimulate the economy? How do we impact persons? A lot of companies, the reason why I think small businesses has such a big part to play is that large organizations may not be able to touch all the vulnerable in society, but we are grassroots enough that we can be that touch point for them. So as they give us finances through grants or prizes, we can be that change on the grassroots level that larger organizations cannot touch. So, showing your picture again, very few words, bold, standing, it's very standoutish, showing exactly what you're looking to execute. Coming on to the end of the slides, you want to talk about traction. You want to show whatever successes you've had in the past. You want to show your track record. You want to show persons that, hey, possibly you received grant funding before. I want to show that I'm responsible when it comes to executing the projects that I've spoke about before. You want to show judges sometimes you have. When I started off in business, you compete in a competition for 1,000 US. Now, when you reach to the benchmark where you're competing in competitions for 50,000 US or 100,000 US, actually had an organization from the US reach out to me earlier, well, late last year to early this year, saying that they've heard about this business. Every time they speak to somebody in the entrepreneurial world, they hear about EcoWash. They ask me to apply for a grant. I asked them, well, how much is the grant? The grant turned out to be 1 million US dollars to execute a project regionally. You want to show persons that, hey, I've executed projects before for certain amounts of money. I'm responsible when it comes to utilizing this money because I've heard many horror stories within Trinidad of persons taking grant money and buying apartments and buying cars and these things, which is against certain rules. You want to show persons that, as I said, you're a responsible person when it comes to how you utilize these finances. When you have slides like these, when you're showing your track record, winning competition with Shell and the United Nations and USAID and IDB and these guys, it adds as an extra form of confidence in these organizations that we want to do business with this person. It also shows that you have you're a really good success story. Listen, that's what organizations look for. They don't just want to give out money. They want to get that media and pictures of well-executed projects and businesses. They want us here, but we give EcoWash 10,000 US, and now EcoWash has launched in 2 additional countries. Now you're generating your own forex and stuff like this. They want those type of stories, and I'm telling you from my own experience, when you show that level of responsibility, you're going to have organizations coming to you, begging you to take finances from them. So you show that you're a good one when it comes to being successful in executing this project. So showing your traction is important. You say, well, Dareem, I never competed in competitions before, but you've had successes in your business. So you may not have won competition, you may not have expanded internationally, but you might be able to say, hey, I started selling 2 products and now I have a SKU of 10 products, showing an evolution within your business. I started off in 2024 with 1 employee. Now I have 5 employees. All of these things are tractions that you can show. As I said before, you really want to be intentional in taking stock of what points your business is touching. How much persons are you hiring? The demographics of the persons that you're hiring, little successes you have along the way. Having 1 product, now you have 2 products. You maybe had a particular type of packaging, now you have resealable packaging with much nicer graphics on it. These are wins that you definitely need to talk about because it shows persons that you're not stagnant or standstill, that you're progressive and that they can look forward to seeing even more progress with your business. So this is what this slide is about. Somewhat of just showing that scalability aspect of it also, because business want that success story. That is what they want out of this. Not just to say I gave away 5,000 US. No, what does 5,000 US equate to? And while I'm here and talking about that, one of the things you should mention, it shouldn't be a slide per se. You could make it a slide. Usually I will tell persons stick to 10 slides or less if you're in a short pitch. On a pitch 10 minutes or more, or up to 15 slides for the most. But one of the things you want to touch on is, what does that prize money mean to you? If the prize is 5,000 US, let the judges know what this money equates to. If I were to win this prize, I'm going to digitalize my business, which will allow me to have greater volume of customers that I can service at any point in time. When you pitch and you say the price is 5,000 US, but you're pitching an outlandish project that may take 500,000 US, this is not going to say, well, this money is going to make a dent in your business, so I'm not going to give this to you. Showing them what that money equates to shows that, 1, you're realistic when it comes to what you think is possible. It shows them also, because most persons don't do this, it shows them also that you have a clear and concise plan of how you're going to execute. That 5,000 US might give you an MVP, a minimum viable product, might give you some uniforms, might be able to buy 2 pieces of machinery that now increases your product SKU. So when I give you that 5,000 US, I know that you're going to turn that into 20,000 US. That's growth, that's scalability. You want to pitch an idea that is way more than the prize that they're looking to give to first place, second place, or third place. The last competition I competed in, which was in Singapore, I had signed up for that competition way before, forgot about the competition, said that I'm retiring from competitions, and then saw a reminder coming up to my email that I made it to the finals. The competition was only for 1,000 US, which in the grand scheme of things, 1,000 US at this point can't do much for EcoWash. And when I pitch, even though my business is doing pretty well and healthy financially, I had to downscale and I told them, I said, 1,000 US is going to buy 3 machines. 3 machines mean that we can employ 6 additional youths and empower them, give them their own micro franchise, get their uniforms, get their machines, get them started. So here you have a huge business that I can pitch a big idea. You still have to downsize it within the budget and the price that these persons are given. So critically important because I've seen people with good ideas who missed out on placing within competition because of that. Your tagline. Taglines are, person may say it's not important. I think it's crucial to leave a lasting impression with persons. Sometimes when you have a really good tagline or a jingle, it's something that sticks with persons. Just like when you keep hearing different songs or jingles on the radio, it just sticks with you. I think that's what a tagline does. It's a really, really good way to end off a pitch. Our tagline in ending it off is, no longer does the car go to the car wash. Now the car wash comes to the car. But we're not just a car wash, we're the car wash, the car wash of the future. That's how I finish it. That's how I finish my pitch. Strong tagline, showing pictures again, very few words, showing a team. So person seeing that, wow, this guy is talking about youths, but they really are youths employed in his business. So you just keep showing them. You're not showing, yes, you can use stock images, but you're showing them your reality, your story, the breadth of your business. You're showing them that this thing is real and this guy is actually building on this amazing business. Car wash of the future, because we're talking about the people, planet, and profit. If your business is aligned with any SDG goals, these are languages that persons who are into certain industries understand. Clean water and sanitization, zero hunger, equal opportunities, infrastructure, these type of things. So if your business is aligned with SDG goals, you can definitely put it at the end so persons will know that you are the business of the 21st century and understanding where the world is at correctly. Your last slide, it's something that I recently started to implement. Your last slide should be your contact information. The reason why I have a QR code and I don't have numbers, understand that all your slides will be determined based on where you're pitching and who you're pitching to. If you're pitching to an eco-friendly organization, most of your slides are going to be talking about green and natural capital and these type of things. If you're pitching to profitability focused businesses, you're going to show graphs and figures and projections and so forth. The reason I use a QR code and not phone numbers, if I'm pitching in Singapore, me having a 368 number isn't as relatable to them as having a QR code. Because one, they're not going to take your phone number because nobody's going to call overseas and run up their phone bill. But the QR code, what it does, this is a Linktree QR code. It takes you to all my socials, takes you to my website. You can possibly add my contact information from the QR code, then giving you options because when you're pitching from a global perspective, I've participated in 2 competitions in Trinidad and I've stopped competing in Trinidad because a couple of years ago, one of my greatest supporters called me and she said, after I won the second competition, she said, you won't give anybody else a chance. Why you jumping at all these competitions? And I said to myself, what a bad mind. I'm never going to compete in Trinidad again. After I said that, 20 minutes later, I got an email from someone in government saying, here's a competition, it's regional. I want you to participate and represent the country. Represented the country and won top water innovation in the Caribbean. So I placed first in that competition. And I'm saying that to say, when you're pitching, make sure that your slides are from a global perspective. Make sure your slides are altered based on the competitions that you're participating in. Because as I said, your phone number with a 1868 number may not be able to be as relatable to somebody who's in London or China. Want to speak the global language, and the global language right now is not telephone. The global language is websites, it's social media. So you want to show that you are a business of the 21st century and that you're relatable. So that's my last slide. EcoWash, clean, crisp, hero code, keeping it simple. You want to leave this when you're pitching, you want to leave this on the screen when you're going through your question and answer rounds, because as I said, your intention is to inspire persons who might be the audience, who might want some time to scan this code. Sometimes the code may not scan because of the distance. They want to zoom in. You want to give them enough time to connect with you, because that's why you're there. Not for prize, but to connect the persons to. I've gone to competitions, and every time I pitch, you leave with 20 new followers because of this slide. So it's really important. Connect with persons, let them get your information. Usually, if you're really skilled at the pitching game, you may have slides after this because you're anticipating certain questions. The persons may ask you whatever crazy question, but because you know you're accustomed getting these questions, your pitch is finished. But the question and answer wrong is, you know, somebody's going to say, well, Dareem, where the next countries you're going to? Just say. More important questions than that. But you should have a slide after this. You click on this is what's next for EcoWash. You may not have enough time to bring that into a 2-minute pitch, but when they give you 2 minutes for question and answer, bring that back in. Sometimes you're pitching and you forgot to bring across a really key point. Somebody may say, okay, well, how do you wash cars with 2 liters of water? Okay, I use eco-friendly products, but because I forgot to bring anything with foster care, I use eco-friendly products. But that's really good. And remember, we help person from foster care system. So this is time where you can, if you're skillful enough and with enough tact, you can bring back in information you forgot to mention while you were actually pitching. So equally as important is the time you pitch and question and answer. And as I said, keep that confidence. You know your business. Practice, get person, pitch to family members where they can ask you questions, because if they have these questions, many people may have the same questions. So you're anticipating certain questions that will come and you can answer with confidence. Because I remember when I started off pitching, even though I've been successful thus far, sometimes you answer a question and only when you reach home, you say, I should have said this instead. So you want to get into that groove of possible questions that will, I know we're 20 minutes remaining, so that's it for the slides for now. I want to make sure that I answer the questions that you guys came looking for answers for. So I guess we can get into some question and answers, and if after that we have more time, we can touch on some other one.
Yes, Dareem. So thank you so much for that. We do have some questions here in the chat. Lots of questions. And of course, if you have questions, guys, please feel free to put it in the chat and we would ask Dareem. So the first question, how does pitching for investment from investors differ from pitching for competitions?
Yeah, it's somewhat like pitching for competitions, but it has way more parts and topics in. So investors don't just ask about financial, how much money you're planning to make. They want to see your expense, your revenue, the EBITDA. They want you to list all these things because investors are looking for return. Unless you find someone who is investing in eco or social impacts, most investors look at dollars and cents. I've actually flown out to a country, met with 4 billionaires. And I remember I was pitching to them and they said, here's one. You see that social thing you're talking about with these youths? Youths are liabilities. You need to take away that aspect to your business. So
Wow.
investors and businesses that just want to give away money or to help on a project, they want a return. So it's pitching your story, but also it's about dollars and cents for them. So they do much more due diligence. Remember, I said talk about the guy who says he's helping persons with disabilities. Investors will do their background checks. Investors actually run most of them run credit checks on persons that they're giving business to because they want to know if you're responsible for paying back your loans and your car loans and different things, you may be responsible to pay them back their dividends. So they do way more checks and balances. This is not a pitch for 2 minutes and I announce a winner 20 minutes later. I've pitched the investors and got called back 6 months down the line to say, okay, great, you checked out, we're ready to move forward. So it's much more due diligence compared to a 2 minute competition.
Well, good. Thank you so much for that. Someone asked, how did you develop your pitching style
I
to win 21 competitions worldwide?
For me, my confidence came. If you know me personally, you know that I'm an introvert. I talk very little unless it's for business purposes, because you have to become what your business needs you to become. But on a personal level, I'm very shy. I think my confidence came forth because I grew up. I spent a lot of time in church, and I spent a lot of time with a pastor who will just hand you a mic and say, "Go pray and open us in prayer." So it forced you to do a lot of practicing beforehand. Okay, I'm gonna learn a couple of scriptures that I know this man calling me to tell me to pray in front of the congregation. So practice, practice, practice. I've pitched 21 times. I will tell you by now, I've pitched over 15,000 times. Let's just say a mirror hates to see me coming. Every time I see my reflection, 1.4 billion. That's the amount of cars in the roads of the world. So persons can call me now for now and I can pay.
Wow.
Because practice not just makes perfect, practice makes permanent. You need to practice enough where you can see somebody in an elevator and you can picture business off the bat. So I would say practice. As I said, don't copy anybody's style, find your flow. Persons can see through whether you're being genuine or not. If you're reading off of a script in your head, even though you don't have a paper in front of you, you want to flow, you want them to know that you're living and breathing this thing. This is just oozing out of you. So yeah, practice.
Good. Practice, practice, right? Thank you. Another question here. What are the most common mistakes you see people making when pitching?
Common mistakes. Not letting persons know early enough what you're talking about. You're pitching, as I said on the first slide, show them what you're talking about. Show them a bottle of your products so that, oh, he's selling juice. Because you're talking down the line about dehydration. The person wants to know if it's a drought you're talking about. Let person know early on what you're talking about. Also, persons don't speak enough about their story. The story is what jabs a person's hearts. There are many businesses like yours. There are tens of thousands of car washes around the world. The difference between EcoWash and those car wash is Dareem Jeffrey, because some persons don't care how much water you use, but they want to know that this guy's on a mission and he's way more than dollars and cents. They want to see the social impact. So one of the big mistakes, not focusing on the 3 Ps, keep our planet and profit.
Yeah. All right. Good. Someone asked here, is it a good idea to record your pitch and post it on social media?
I've recorded all my pitches and I've never posted them. One, I don't post them because of one of my experiences I said with a guy who is trying to one up you, because even though you're still being genuine, it's kind of giving them an unfair advantage. Also, persons will tend to try to chime in on if you deserve to win. So, I hear this other girl picture and me talking about car wash, but she doing the thing over here. She should have won. And something that could cause a lot of backlash to organizations. I've actually had an organization in Trinidad that called me to say, hey, we get a lot of backlash because we put you to the finals. And it was people that I knew from the entrepreneur world who reached out to them and said, our car wash could win when I actually doing this thing over here. So you want to prevent persons who are not decision makers from chiming in and causing unnecessary conflict.
All right, thank you for that. Another question here, how do you balance effectively sharing? This is a good question. Sharing your personal story with presenting the key information about your business during a pitch. And how do you balance that?
Yeah. You get personal, but don't get too personal. Yeah, some persons may misconstrue what I said and start talking about family drama. I remember at 17, the reason why I left and came home to Spain is I was kicked out from home. That's something I wouldn't mention in a pitch because now it's a pity party and the persons can get engrossed in that and distract them from the bulk of the story. So, always keep in mind what is TMI, too much information, and what is relevant information. Getting kicked out of home have nothing to do with a car wash. So sometimes you may kind of unnecessarily want to tell your hoods and your traumas. Just think about, does this have anything to do with this? And yeah, just keep that in mind.
Good.
Okay.
Thank you. Another question here. What are some of the grants locally and internationally available for entrepreneurs and small businesses that have business proposals or pitches that they can make?
Yeah. Yes. I promise that I'm going to send you guys to my honeypot. That's what I call it. So there's two social media accounts. They're actually on WhatsApp also and websites that all the grants and all the pitch competitions I've done have actually been posted there. They post at least 10 grants a day. Some related to Trinidad, some related to the Caribbean and the wider world, some just for Africa. There's actually a site that's specifically for Caribbean youth. So all the competition I competed in the Caribbean was posted there. I'm very excited to actually, I don't know if we have time, I can shout it out now.
No, of course,
Yeah.
yes, of course.
So on Instagram,
And we will also share it after.
yeah. So on Instagram, there's a site called Opportunities #4 Caribbean Youth. Opportunities for Caribbean Youth.
It makes
see
better than
circle with some colorful persons in it. That is, well, I know right now the manager of that account is on a hiatus for a couple of weeks, I guess just for rest and relaxation. But they post regularly. They're also on social, on WhatsApp. So they're on social media with them or you're on WhatsApp, you get the updates of whatever grants is being posted. There is one more. Let me see if I can fill that. Right, and the next one is called Opportunities for Youth. That's it. Opportunity for youth and opportunities for Caribbean. But this opportunities for youth, opportunities FOR youth. That is on WhatsApp. I also send maybe the WhatsApp link to Marita and they can post it from Pico. You can also look for the website itself where all the grants are posted. There are actually some trips I'm making overseas because of opportunities I've seen on this. The one that I did one from this where I had to compete in Singapore. So really cool. As I say, it's the honeypot where everything is just there in front of you. You just pick and choose which one you want to apply for. I've applied for over 100 competitions. I've been successful in all the 21 that I've gone through it because pitching is, I'm really good at that at this point. I'm not good at writing the pitch proposals that you have to send off place for person safe anyway. So what I've done, the company has reached a place where we can hire a grant writer. So where we you hire a person with certain strengths. But the pitch I've shown you just now, that's a pitch I've used in all competitions around the world.
Wow.
It's not the fanciest of designs, but it shows that your story is what gets you there. Story is what will bring the funding that you need.
Yeah, good. So we posted it in the chat. Opportunities for Caribbean youth.
Yes.
And then was it number 4, and then opportunities for youth.
Yeah.
And for you are right. Another question: what is the difference between pitching a business idea versus for business expansion?
Mhm.
You know, how do you go about doing that?
I guess it's where your business is at. So some
Mhm.
businesses are startups are now looking to start. There are different competitions for both. There are competitions that will tell you your business has to be in operation for 3 years plus. There are competitions that will say your business can't be registered for more than a year. You have right now the Ministry of Youth and National Development, they have their grant disbursements happening now, and that was to businesses that were under 18 months, I believe it was. So there are competitions that vary in how long the business needs to be in operation, and you just have to find the ones that fit yours. But grant funding from one of our organizations in Trinidad, we had to be registered for more than 3 years. They were looking for 19 entrepreneurs and 19 businesses to give grant funding to, and those were hundreds of thousands of dollars. And you could have only found 12 that qualified for funding. So they actually had to give more funding to the persons who actually did qualify, because grant and pitching is great, but you also have to have your ducks in a row. Are you paying your taxes? Do you have your VAT clearance? There's also something called non-VAT and non-tax certificates if you're not at that threshold as yet. Simple things like these. And I applied for the same grant that I got through with, and I did not get it because I didn't have a VAT certificate. Having a conversation with my friend, he said there's something called a non-VAT certificate. Applied, put in the document the next year, and got a couple of hundreds of thousands to expand EcoWash. So pitching is good. Just make sure you also have all the other regulatory documents in alignment with where they need to be.
Yeah, thank you. Then Carmen here has asked, can you further explain how you prevent scratches? I guess the scratches with the 2 liters of water.
Oh, yeah, it's a proprietary formula we have right now with patent pending. It's called invisible foam. So you get all the effects of foam without actually seeing foam. Just want to let you guys, it's a secret. When you're bathing, the most amount of water you use, upwards of 90% of the water you use when you're showering, is to wash off the lather. If you remove the lather, therefore, you automatically cut down on the amount of water that you use. That's one of the secrets to EcoWash. But when you have certain surfactants that don't foam and so forth, it creates an invisible film between dirt and the paint, lifting the dirt off the paint, where you simply just have to wipe it away. We've washed over 300,000 cars at our flagship location in Trinidad. Now we've washed millions of cars because now we have 27 branches in 13 countries around the world. Have not scratch cars, and we have no plans of starting scratch cars anytime soon. So it's safe.
Good. That's a good question. Thank you, Carmen. Someone has asked, how does the franchise model of EcoWash work?
Yeah, so persons would pay a franchise fee, and they get a turnkey system. So the machines, the uniforms, the banners, the kiosks, everything needed to start up the operation, getting also the system and support from us, getting our own products right now, because we developed a product line. So everything you're needing to start the business. And because I've been in this for 4 years now, I know the ins and outs of running EcoWash branch. So that's what the franchise is about. Because we have operations in 6 countries, 11 locations in Africa, the last time I flew to Ghana was 54 hours of flight. I can fly to Ghana every day. So that way we had franchises, but we also have executing partners. So they executed the operations and we split the profit in whatever ratios. So it allowed me to expand the brand without having to be so hands-on with operations in other territories. And I encourage entrepreneurs, that's a viable option. Partnerships and franchises. You may not be in Barbados, but you may be able to connect with someone who can execute your operations over there and become a business partner. You're making money from a territory that you're not even in just by these partnerships. So it's something that I explored, and I think we are the 3rd franchise, indigenous franchise in Trinidad, but also the first franchise to expand outside of Caribbean and Latin America, because we have
places like Rituals of the Island. Now Sasha has expanded into Latin America, but we have no franchise from Trinidad in places like Africa. And now we expanded also to Texas.
Congratulations. I think that was our final question, which brings us up to 6:57. We're doing very good on time. So this really concludes our session today, Dareem. I want to thank you. Is there someone? Someone just asked a question here. Is the business only external washing of the car?
No, we do full on car washes, so you get interior, exterior, we sanitize. We also do it for large conglomerates like Macau. We do for them in Guyana and Trinidad. The unit trust, so large corporate fleets, and also we have a couple of malls, Gold City Mall, C3 Mall, shops of Train City that you can always let us there.
Okay, good. I think that was a final question, but of course, if you have other questions, you can share it with us. We will share it with Dareem and get you an answer. So thank you, Dareem, so much for such an informative and inspiring session on how to pitch. I think there were lots of key takeaways from the session. The first one being never pitch solely to win, right?
Yes.
But of course, focus really on bringing awareness to your business. Some of the key elements that you mentioned in pitching, first of all, sharing your story, identifying your problem, showing the solution and benefits. I was listening, right? Demonstrating your product, introducing your team, which is really a critical component of pitching. Sharing your business model and identifying that sort of sustainability and scalability factors, and how do you plan to use the funds, and sharing your tagline.
Yes.
I think that was a key highlight for me, and your contact information based on the type of business. Whether it's an eco-friendly business or otherwise. So we want to just say special thanks to Clico Credit Union, the team here, John Sipasad, Kendall, Harry, who really put all of this together and was coordinating with Dareem over the last month or so, because you're never in the country, or if you're in the country, it's not for long, right? And of course, thank you, Dareem. Thank you for taking the time to share such powerful insights, to share your story, and just share key elements on pitching. Thank you so much for being such a supporter of Clico Credit Union. We look forward to welcoming you back to Clico Credit Union, because we plan on, as part of our Business Hub initiative, we plan on doing a lot more of these webinars. And of course, thank you so much to our audience. Thank you for joining us, and you can look forward next month to another webinar on business entrepreneurship, as we continue to empower and support our young business entrepreneurs and members of the credit union. So thank you, everyone, and have a good evening. Good.